I've got a question. How do I interview a potential sales hire?
So you've decided to hire, you've got a pool of potential candidates, and they're all qualified on paper. So what do you do next? There's several things that you might consider adding to your process. The first is creating a passive filter for high volume of candidates. So if you've got an SDR job, for example, a sales development representative, where you've got a ton of people who are applying because you're not requiring a lot of previous experience, or maybe there's just a lot of folks in the market who are interested in the role, we recommend a passive filter, like having them submit a video, a voicemail, or even a cold email example to hear how do they sound, see how they present themselves, and understand if they can think critically. That gives you just some practical experience understanding versus having to sort through thousands or hundreds of potential candidates just based on what they've put in a resume. The next consideration is, are you going to be interviewing them in person or remotely? Now, we recommend mirroring however they're going to be selling. So if they're going to be selling remotely, you want to make sure that they present well while selling remotely. Regardless of location, though, you want to make sure that they're clear on dressing and acting as though you're the most important customer they'll ever have. If they can't be successful in convincing you to work with them, then certainly they're not going to be successful with the next set of potential customers that they talk to on your behalf. Another consideration would be creating a practical exam or take home test for an account executive or a full cycle rep who's closing deals. You typically want them to demo a product to you that they're familiar with or have sold previously. You're not going to use the sell me this pen or sell me my own product demo concept. Those don't go well and they don't tell you what you want them to tell you. You want to see how they actually perform when they're comfortable with the product, they're familiar with it, and they can present it to you as if you were going to buy it from them. For SDRs, this is typically a cold call practice session. So actually providing them with a script that they might use in reality, having them practice it ahead of time, and then deliver that to you. What we prefer to do whenever we get engaged with candidates is we'll actually pitch them first and let them hear how do we present ourselves, and then we'll flip the table and let them pitch to us. Finally, you want to consider whether you're going to have an individual interview with them or a group or committee type of interview. If you're going to have multiple people interview or sit in on those interviews, we recommend using a scorecard that covers multiple points and everyone gives their take. That way you can compare those scores, you can weight them differently based on how much credence you give to a particular person's feedback on that candidate. But then it's a little more fair than, hey, I really like them, or hey, I didn't really like them. And it's much more specific, which is more helpful to you as you're evaluating those candidates. Now that you've thought about all the different considerations you might make, let's talk through the stages of an interview process. First, if you're hiring for SDRs, BDRs, whatever it is, the top of funnel rep who's going to be doing a lot of outbounding and possibly even fielding inbound leads, you want to first create that passive filter. You want to review their resumes. Then you want to initially screen them in a live conversation. Then you give them the practical test. And finally, you would extend an offer. So by creating that passive filter, you're looking at only the best candidates who appear most capable of performing the role. You'll look through their resume for the best experience, the best story that they can tell. You're going to use that initial screening to help understand, do they really want the type of job that we're offering here? Is this a good fit for them and vice versa? The practical test will again let them apply their skills in a real world environment or mock real world environment. And the final offer allows you to get them into the team the way you wanted. For an account executive or closing role, you'll start with the application and resume review. Then you'll move on to an initial screening conversation, a practical test, and then something like a culture fit interview where they can meet with someone who's not a direct report. And then you would extend a final offer. So during that application or resume review, we're not putting a passive filter on these closing candidates. You don't learn as much there as you will later from the practical test. In the initial screening, again, same process as the SDR function. You're really just looking to see if what they're looking for is a good fit for the role you're offering and vice versa. In the practical test, you really want to dig in deep here and act as though you are a prospective customer for whatever the solution is that they are going to demo to you. In the culture fit interview, it's just a chance for them to get a sense of who are other people working at the company and for other people to give you feedback on how they think they might fit into the organization. And of course, the final offer is where you extend to them the offer that you want them to accept on behalf of the company. Throughout the interview process, what we're looking for are demonstrable skills. If you were a buyer, is this a convincing sales representative? Are they professional? Are they persistent? Do they follow up? If you don't tell them what next steps are, do they ask for them or suggest them? If it's been a while since they've heard from you, are they doing the follow up to figure out, hey, are you still interested? Am I still in the candidate pool? Do they have believable experience? This is where we highly recommend using clear numbers or listening for clear numbers, metrics, and stories. The warning here is that even a bad sales rep can tell a good story. Always look for specifics like I closed a $270,000 deal versus I closed the biggest deal of my career. Anyone can make that claim. The more specifics they use, the more likely it is to be true. We're also looking for the fit between the role and the candidate, not just in the near term, but what are their career ambitions and what's their proposed timeline for those ambitions? And does that fit the growth of the company, the trajectory of that role, and what the opportunity is in the long term? With this strategy in mind, you can begin the interview process fully equipped to find the best sales talent for your team.
Have sales questions you want answered? We'll be happy to give you our opinion. Send them to questions@nofluffselling.com.